The DNA blueprint delusion. But it's in my DNA. The battle cry of people who've never opened a biology textbook. Here's the myth. Your DNA is like a detailed instruction manual from IKEA, except it actually makes sense and tells you exactly who you'll become. Height? Check. Intelligence? Check. Whether you'll put pineapple on pizza? Definitely check. Your DNA isn't a blueprint. It's more like a suggestion box at a chaotic restaurant. Sure, it might recommend the fish, but whether you end up with salmon or sushi depends on the chef, the kitchen staff, and whether someone accidentally set the place on fire. This is called epigenetics. People. Your environment literally rewrites your genetic story. Identical twins with identical DNA can end up completely different based on their lifestyle choices. One twin becomes a marathon runner, the other becomes a professional couch archaeologist. Same genes, different Netflix subscriptions. The most mind-blowing part. You can literally change how your genes behave through exercise, diet, stress management, and sleep. Your genes are basically that friend who changes their opinion based on who they're hanging out with. Oh, we're doing healthy stuff now? Cool. I'll make more muscle-building proteins. We're stress-eating ice cream at 2 a.m.? Guess I'll dial up those inflammation markers. So the next time someone says it's genetic, remind them that genes without lifestyle choices are like a car without gas. Impressive to look at, but not going anywhere. Let's talk about the research from Massachusetts General Hospital that tracked people with genetic predispositions to brain diseases for 12 years. Healthier midlife behaviors lead to better outcomes for age-related brain diseases even in people with genetic predisposition. The people with the worst genetic risk who adopted healthy lifestyles, they had better outcomes than people with good genes who lived unhealthy lives. Your choices literally override your genetic blueprint. The fat gene fantasy. I have the fat gene, usually said while demolishing a family-sized bag of chips. The myth. There's a single evil gene called the fat gene that forces you to gain weight no matter what you do. It's like having a tiny dictator in your cells screaming, "Store all the calories," while you helplessly reach for another donut. Yes, some genetic variants can make weight management more challenging. About 40 to 70% of body weight variation has genetic influences. But here's the kicker. These genes don't work in a vacuum. They need accomplices. Let's talk about the FTO gene, the so-called fat gene. Having the high-risk version increases your obesity risk by about 70%. Sounds scary, right? But here's what they don't tell you. This gene's effects can be almost completely negated by physical activity. It's like having a supervillain whose only weakness is taking a walk. Studies show that people with the fat gene who exercise regularly have the same BMI as people without it. The gene doesn't make you fat. Being sedentary while having the gene makes you fat. It's the difference between carrying a loaded water gun versus actually pulling the trigger. And here's the beautiful irony. The same genetic variants that predispose you to weight gain in a fast food environment might have been survival advantages when food was scarce. Your ancestors' thrifty genes kept them alive during famines. Now they're just really good at storing energy from your third Starbucks Frappuccino. Your genes load the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger. Stop blaming your DNA and start thanking it for keeping your great-great-grandmother alive during the potato famine. Here's what Cancer Research UK found. About 4 out of every 10 cancers could be prevented by smart lifestyle choices like not smoking, maintaining a healthy weight, and eating a healthy diet. That means 40% of cancers, diseases we think of as genetic, can be prevented by lifestyle alone. A massive study published in 2024 showed that adherence to healthy lifestyles could largely attenuate genetic risk of shorter lifespan or premature death, regardless of genetic predisposition. Your choices matter more than your chromosomes. The warrior gene warrior. I can't help being aggressive. I have the warrior gene. The cry of people who think genetics is an excuse for bad behavior. The myth, the MAL variant, dubbed the warrior gene, turns you into a walking anger machine. Got this, gene? Congratulations, you're basically the Hulk, but with worse fashion sense. First off, calling it the warrior gene is like calling a butter knife a murder weapon. Technically possible, but wildly misleading. About 30% of people have this variant, and last I checked, we're not living in a Mad Max hellscape. Here's the real science. The MAL variant only increases aggressive behavior in people who experience childhood trauma or severe stress. No trauma? The gene does absolutely nothing. It's like having a smoke detector that only goes off if there's already a fire and someone's playing heavy metal music. But wait, it gets better. Even people with both the gene variant and childhood trauma aren't doomed to violence. Environmental factors like education, social support, and therapy can completely override genetic predispositions. Your genes might whisper, fight, but your frontal cortex can shout, think first. Studies of adopted children show that environment trumps genetics almost every time. Kids with the warrior gene, raised in loving, stable homes, normal aggression levels. Kids without the gene in chaotic environments, much higher aggression. The gene isn't the boss, your environment is. And here's the ultimate plot twist. The same gene variant that might increase aggression in bad environments can increase leadership and risk-taking in good ones. CEOs and entrepreneurs have higher rates of this variant. Your warrior gene might not make you violent. It might make you successful. Meet Tyan T-Boz Watkins from TLC. At age 7, doctors told her she had sickle cell disease and wouldn't live past 30. They said she'd be disabled her whole life and never have children. Fast forward to today, she's 53 years old, became one of the most successful R&B artists in history, traveled the world performing, and had a daughter. She openly admits the disease affects her daily life with severe joint pain and fatigue, but she refused to let genetic predisposition define her limits. Her response? I've traveled the world in TLC, proving that genetic predictions aren't genetic certainties. So there you have it, 3 genetic myths thoroughly debunked with real scientific evidence. Massachusetts General Hospital research shows healthier midlife behaviors lead to better outcomes even with genetic predisposition. Cancer Research UK found 40% of cancers could be prevented by lifestyle choices. And T-Boz from TLC was told she wouldn't live past 30 due to sickle cell disease, but is now 53 and had a successful career. Your DNA isn't your destiny, your dictator, or your defense attorney. It's more like a really complicated recipe that changes depending on what ingredients you add and how you choose to cook. Stop treating your genes like gospel and start treating them like guidelines. You're not a prisoner of your DNA. You're its director, editor, and star. Now get out there and show your genes who's really in charge. Remember, the only thing truly determined by genetics is your potential. What you do with that potential, that's all you, baby.